This is a review of Survivor Season 47, Episode 8, He's All That. We have a full episode recap ahead. I have Richie Becerra here with me, as always. Richie, what are you repping today? You have a very special shirt on. Talk to us about it. That's not for Brett Favre. Who's that
That is
for?
not for Brett Favre. That is for Cameron Scattaboo,
Mm.
AFC running back. We're wearing this in hopes that it sends good vibes and he heals up in time to play on Saturday because he's doubtful right now. So we'll see.
Yeah, Cam Scatterbo, Heisman season. Having a great year.
Some are saying.
To get back to Survivor, we got a whole full episode ahead. We're going to recap. We're going to rename the episode. We're going to do stock up, stock down, which castaway stock's up, which stock is down. We're going to do a Survivor press conference, rename the episode, who's going home next week. I've said it a million times, said it again. But yeah, dude, how would you, right off the top, I mean, the big thing this episode was the Survivor auction. We'll get into it as we recap, but right away, do you think it's getting better or it's getting worse?
I felt like with last week, almost kind of that felt like that like filler episode. The lead up to just knowing that the auction was coming, I think was great, and I think it was a great episode. I think we're back.
Yeah.
So I'm very happy with where we're at right now.
Yeah, we're back on track. Yeah, it really was kind of a filler episode just because like it was a merge, but it wasn't quite jury, so it didn't feel as important. Wow, like
Exactly.
the person who went home this episode we're going to see for the rest of the season. So yeah, to get into it, Rachel, who was of course saved by her safety without power, which was given to her by Saul, gets back to camp, is like, I'm wondering who my guardian angel is. And Saul quickly reveals that it was him, and he says that he's got some Saul's secret agents, which he started the episode with. We didn't really see that build out. We might see it build out.
Yeah.
Do you think this is a good thing that he kept it private, and do you think it will stay private, or do you think people know? Because, I mean, it's only 1 in 6.
Yeah, I think it's a good thing he kept it private. I don't know if it'll stay private. I could definitely see Rachel using that to like at some point if she feels threatened to go and use that piece of information either against his alliance or to get her on somebody else's side.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. The next morning, we get Caroline, Caroline is the perfect messenger for this moment, I got to say, because everyone's hanging around and Caroline's like, hey, there's something in the woods we all need to go look at. And we get the little note. And it says, get ready to get happy because it's time for the Survivor auction. And she just, the way she says it, so much joy, so much excitement. It was it was like winning the Super Bowl. Great, great moment. and then immediately followed by, there are tubes in the jungle with cash. That's how you'll spend your money at the auction. Go. And then the mad dash begins. We saw this happen. I believe it was 2 seasons ago. I don't think it was quite last season.
It was D's season.
Yeah, where everyone goes into the forest to collect bamboo, and they bring it back to their plates. This was the same for New Era Survivor auction. Do you like this way of getting a balance?
I do, honestly, because I feel like then it makes it a little bit more fun because not everybody has the same amount. And even if you get the same amount of tubes, you're going to end up with different amounts, which is kind of cool too.
Yeah, like, was it Kyle only had a few, but he had a huge amount, and Gabe had a bunch of tubes and had about a similar amount to Kyle, which was interesting.
Yeah.
And Andy being one to just struggle and totally miss opportunities. And like the camera crew, the editors had a lot of fun with that because he would just be standing there like so frustrated and someone would walk by and just grab. So many good moments that. Sierra gets the biggest stack, gets above $1,000, which is insane. And then we get to the auction, and yeah, I mean, it's same New Era auction rules where the first five items are guaranteed, but everything after that is 5 to 15. Auction could end whenever. Jeff draws a rock. Do you like this format, this version of? Because they did tweak things to where I think what happened in D's season is whoever had the most money was just bidding. And one thing, I think Jeff said it in that season, he's like, listen, there are no advantages. Because that's what he would do, is he would say there are no advantages.
Yeah.
He did not say that this time around. which I don't know if anyone caught that. I'm actually just realizing that now as I'm saying it. Um, what do you make of that format of how it can end at any time, but like almost rocks decide?
I like it honestly. I think it adds that extra element. I think it does help to the fact that if you have the most money, you lose your vote. I think that adds the element to where I can't just wait for, let's say, if he does pull an advantage or whatever, I have to spend some money because I don't want to be without a vote by the end of this.
It's pretty good though after that because I mean Sierra is like the leader and they do a pretty good job of like keeping track. This is one though like they eventually as the auction goes on they speed things up and they give everyone their thing very quickly. When
Hmm.
it's like, oh man, last week they were just stretching everything. This week they're speeding stuff up
Yeah.
because there's so much in this episode. And yeah, I don't know. What were some of the big headlines you wrote down? I mean, Gabe obviously gambled and lost. We get the
I
return
mean,
of the return of the
you
grub, which
yeah,
I
you get
mean,
Kyle eating wings,
Kyle, yes,
the vegetarian.
yeah, those wings did look amazing. They were freaking out over mac and cheese, dude. I would be so easy for me to pass up on mac and cheese.
Yeah.
I mean, getting potato chips and soda too is like, oh man, that probably like tastes really good, but that is like
Hmm.
just going to
It
set
does
you
nothing for
back.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just salt and sugar and like, yeah, maybe it probably hits.
Seed oils.
Hey, seed oils. What do you make of the cashback system? I thought that was pretty cool. That added a new wrinkle of like,
I
sure, you'll spend all
yeah.
your money, but now you're gonna get some back. And then also not doing just straight up, like doing the grub battle. What did you
Hmm.
like that? Because the grub battle was
I
200 to play, and I don't know, it could get rid of your money and get you an option.
I liked the grub battle more for sure. I would like to see something where you almost have to like you have to pay regardless, and then you still only you even if you don't win, you don't get to keep your money. You're out. You're done. Like you just lose the money.
Yeah, but because there is such an disadvantage of having money, it's funny that they return it.
Yeah,
And like there should be
that's true.
I think there should be a penalty is you actually go back with more money, which just adds
See, and that was my thing with the cashback is that, like it was like $60. Like that's not going to set
yeah.
anybody over the edge. Just once they've already spent a bunch of money to buy something, like the cashback should have been like 300-400 bucks.
Yeah, no, I think next season, my prediction for next maybe not the next season because that's like the same filming cycle, but I bet he will put an advantage in like the fourth spot because we are now used to no longer like having advantages. I think he will pull out an envelope and be
Hmm.
like, "Hey, who wants to bid for this? This is an advantage." But I mean
For sure.
that could be tough because I mean dollar amounts it's just going to go to the highest bidder. But if you had already
Hmm.
spent all your money because you're worried about getting rid of your
Yeah.
money, I think they're just going to add that wrinkle back in because I think they're doing a really good job the last couple seasons. And it's funny because we're like, they listen to the podcast. They're bringing back old stuff in the new era.
Hmm.
Like, and some of it's working, some of it's not. Chickens aren't working. Auction, I think, is one that's working. Like, I
Hmm.
love the new wrinkle to it. And yeah, we're getting,
I like how they did the advantage this year though. I thought that was cool.
yeah, putting the,
Because now and it's even more of an advantage because nobody knows about it
yeah,
as long as you can hide it.
it looked like Saul like knew for a second or was looking down at it right when they cut the
Hmm.
commercial. I thought that was funny, but ultimately it wasn't. I saw some things on Twitter. Teeny said that she wanted to trade with Kyle because Kyle wanted the mac and cheese, and apparently they were sniffing each other's food and then taking bites of their own food because they weren't allowed to trade. And I'm like, that is just so weird. But it's also only day 14 though, too. Like that
Yeah,
when it's day 14, that does take a little bit of the about it. And some of them just ate
I
ribs the day before.
I've always hated the no trading part. I think you should be able to trade. I get the no sharing,
Yeah.
but if you have something, you should be able to trade it.
Yeah. Or like piling up money together. And yeah, they used to do
Yeah, they
that
used to
too.
do that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's funny, man. It's funny to see how the auction has evolved. Yeah, we do get the advantage for Rachel, and Charlie coined it the Friedel, the French Friedel, because gets a note. The note says there is a immunity idol sewn into the tarp at camp, and there are two tarps. We gotta get back to camp. And Rachel, Rachel's been very involved the last couple episodes. Of course,
Hmm.
being in a very bad position last episode to now getting an idol in front of everybody. And I really wish we could really see what the stitching looked like, because all we kind of saw was her just doing whatever. But the cameras must have done a really good job of not showing that, like, oh my, like drawing attention to it, because they were all sitting there when she did it,
Yeah.
and I bet everyone who was watching at home was like, "Dang, how did we miss that? That's crazy."
Hmm.
Did you like that the idol was sewn into a tarp? Is that a good spot?
I love when they put it somewhere like in base camp
Yeah,
because it makes it so much harder and you have to be so much ballsier to try and get it.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I mean, she did it good. She didn't even tell anybody like, "Hey, make a distraction or get everybody onto the beach." Like, she just went for it.
yeah. Pretty huge advantage. And yeah, I mean that kind of takes us into the immunity challenge pretty quickly after. What did you make of this immunity challenge? This is the grip strength one, 25% of your body weight. How do you think you would do if you had to do it right now, not training for grip strength? How well do you think you do it? And I mean, 25% of your body weight. Sam, you heard Sam complain. That's probably about
Yeah,
50 pounds for him.
yeah. I mean, I'd be just right there too. Like that is tough when you have that extra weight. And I feel like the people who usually do pretty good at this are like skinnier and longer because it's
Yeah.
just the way the physics works out. It's just a lot easier for them to sit back and lean back, extend their arms,
Yeah.
and they obviously don't have as much weight. So we see it
Nice.
happen again this one.
Yeah, I might have you then for this one. I think
Yeah,
I might, but I have again the softest hands. It would not work out. I would get slippery. It wasn't a super interesting challenge. I mean, it was a
yeah.
one man, one woman would get a the immunity necklace. We see Sue win. Sue at 45 years old wins immunity. Pretty amazing. And then Andy's right there with Kyle, and Kyle wins his third immunity in a row.
Hmm.
Dangerous for Kyle.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, what I mean was that it's tough. Like Charlie, they talked about it on the podcast, and I thought this was interesting. Is like, hey, do you think you're hesitant to go three in a row when you're at a spot where you've won two in a row? Like, as a part
hmm,
of you, like, man, I shouldn't win this third in a row. Do you feel that at all? Charlie was saying if you do feel that, get out early. Don't get all the way to the end and compete for that last spot, because it still shows you're the competitor. Get out early.
hmm.
But that also is just like throwing in the towel.
Yeah.
You got to
I
play for
don't know.
safety.
I feel like that early, I wouldn't even try to win two in a row. I think I would win one, be like, okay, I got to chill on this next one, and then maybe
Yeah.
win the one after. But you can't even win two in a row because then if you win two in a row, it's almost like you have to win that third because you're already a threat.
Yeah. Yeah, going back to back on immunity challenge, but like I think it served Kyle well, but now especially it's like, ooh, that just target just gets bigger and bigger the more you win. And I don't think this, like, Sue winning will do anything for Sue in terms of a threat, because I don't know, it's
Yeah.
still just under the radar. No one's saying Sue's name.
Hmm.
Which is pretty incredible. Yeah, then we get back to camp. Scrambling happens. Were you surprised that Sam and Sierra were the targets and not the Blue Tribe? Because I mean, I think we both,
Dude, yeah.
well,
We
which is
talked
fun.
about it last episode. I mean, we thought that it was going to be the red and yellow kind of joining forces to kick out blue, and I mean that just barely ever had any traction at all.
Yeah, dude, and it's so funny. The two people we
And
picked to go home won immunity too. They were both from
yeah.
Blue, because we were thinking, dude, Blue's going home, and I thought then, oh no, it's Gabe. But then they get back to camp,
Hmm.
and people were, yeah, Saul was ready to turn on Sam and Sierra, and Andy
And I
made a
think
big
the
move
whole thing,
too.
yeah, I think the whole thing is because of Andy. And I think had Andy still wanted to stay with Sam and Sierra, maybe it would have been yellow and red.
Yeah.
But I think Andy just does not like vibe with them anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't quite think it'd be Sierra. I thought Sam was just, of course, physical threat, and someone even said that.
Hmm.
But the way, like, I guess Sierra got some edits of like, we're just keeping Andy around to yada yada yada, and it's like I feel like they always show their confident moments right
Hmm.
before their
Well, I mean,
demise.
they made cases for all three of the yellow people, and honestly, at one point, like I didn't know who it was going to be out of the three of them.
Yeah.
But you hear what I think Genevieve made such a good case. She was like, keep Sam around because he's going to be a bigger threat later on, and that's an
Mm,
easy target, a bigger target to keep in.
yeah. Yeah. Sam could go home any week, but like,
Hmm.
and they call someone called Sierra the head of the snake, and I mean, maybe, but I don't know that Sierra was ever really running that. I think Sam is the head of the snake socially of that
Yeah.
group,
Hmm.
but with the way it ends up going, I mean, the women's alliance didn't even really come up at all again. Um,
No.
and yeah,
And
I
maybe it
just
will now, but I
yeah,
don't know.
I mean, we did know, I guess, leading up to this, that Sam and Sierra were this duo that is like they probably of anyone other than maybe Gabe and Sue. I don't know. We've really seen that since, but Sierra and
Hmm.
Sam are the most public duo of the group. Kind of makes sense. Just shocked me a little bit. And then we get to tribal, for a pretty great tribal council. Like,
Yeah.
and again, a lot of chatter here and there. Nothing really before the vote that stood out to me. Um, Other than just like, Andy saying that he's ready to kind of like make a move and he knows what he's doing, and like Sierra and Sam definitely, they kept showing them looking over as people were
Yeah.
talking, like they were like, wait, is this not the plan? Do we all not,
Hmm.
are we all on the same page? And gosh, I can't imagine especially watching back, like being at tribal council, like thinking you're safe or thinking it's all
Hmm.
going wrong. um we get
See,
to
I don't know. I feel like I don't know if I would ever go into tribal like thinking I'm safe. I think you almost have
yeah
to have that sense of any night could be my night.
yeah Well, Jeff asks them at one point. He's like, "Does everyone here feel like they don't know what's going to happen?" And I think like if you keep your hand down in that situation, like
Hmm.
you are a target. So everyone raised their hand, and some people were
Hmm.
slow and looking around and then raising their hand.
Yeah.
But like that's like a question that I'm like, dude, yeah, if I just kept my hands down, that's a terrible sign. And so I think you just have to raise it.
Next time he should do it how they do in church and just say, "Hey, close your eyes, and now I want you to raise your hand."
Honestly, that's funny and effective, and like, yeah,
Yeah.
that could be interesting. Um, yeah, like heads up, 7 up type deal. Like, oh
Hmm.
my gosh, that's funny. We get to the vote, and everyone votes, and then we sit back down, and Rachel has reached into her bag and put her what seems like her idol in her pocket or something, and right before Jeff reads the votes, Rachel says stop. And did you think she's playing an idol? I mean,
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
that's what we know she just got. And maybe she was feeling unsure, but then she says she plays her shot in the dark, which does not make sense in the moment. But
See, I
as
thought it made sense as soon as she played it. I thought it made sense.
well, yeah, because I don't know why, but I was just like, why would she do that? Like, you have an idol, but then of course
Hmm.
looking around to see everyone's
Yep.
reaction as Jeff reads. Jay from
Hmm.
the producer of the Survivor podcast was like, that is one of the great, like the smartest moves in like Survivor history. That'll change. He's like, it'll change the game forever because
I
now
wrote that down, dude. Yeah.
it's a shot in the dark to look around. And yes, she was able to play her idol if she looked around and felt like, oh my
Hmm.
gosh, I need to play my idol right now. So you give up your vote, which could hurt your alliance, by the way. But she must have felt good enough that like, I think I'm safe, but this is going to be my way into it. Do you think you would have ever been that clever to think of that? Because I think that's just a testament to Rachel.
I think maybe, but at the same time, like I don't think that that was her plan going into tribal. I think kind of how you said with Sam and Sierra looking at each other throughout the tribal based on what Andy was saying. I think that honestly did give Rachel worry. Like I don't think she went in with the idea that she was going to use her shot in the dark.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's insane. Ultimately, she feels like she's safe. I mean, Jeff says that the shot in the dark does not work. Um, and another note for that too is like I think everyone else would sit there going, "Oh, well, she definitely doesn't have an idol." Like, but she does, because
Hmm.
otherwise she would have.
Yeah.
If she's like, "I'm not feeling safe, Jeff. I'm playing an idol." That's what you'd say if you're not feeling safe. But
Hmm.
instead, the shot in the dark. Great move. Loses her vote. We get one vote Gabe, and then we get 4 votes Sam, 4 votes Sierra.
Hmm.
That's right? And for a
Yeah.
perfect tie, which is another like it's a little bit like the Rome vote where it's like insane that everyone was on the same page for that. Like that's got to
Hmm.
be so crazy, and everyone had that trust. No one wanted to flip. We get the two. Sam doesn't have a vote, so Sierra gets to vote. Interesting wrinkle,
Hmm.
makes sense. I like
That
it.
was crazy. Yeah.
Checks out. Like, and the way Jeff broke that down, that was
Hmm.
clear and that feels like right. Did you think here it would be Sam or Sierra? Or like who did you think it would be of the two?
To the Revo, I thought it was going to be Sierra.
Hmm. Interesting.
I think Genevieve is kind of running that new group,
Yeah.
and I think she wanted Sam to stick around as a bigger target, so that's why I kind of figured Sierra was going to be the one.
Yeah. No, it was. I mean, and that's who it ended up being. Sierra does not go home. Sierra joins the jury. It's kind of left with a little bit of confusion, but like ultimately probably just got too comfortable, got too cocky. Did not read the room well, but yeah,
And I liked
Sierra
her
was a
I liked her exit too. Like she wasn't super like pissed, but she was still like mad. And I feel
yeah.
like a lot recently, like a lot of people go home and they're like, "Oh, like good job, guys! Like you got me." Like I don't like that. That's not like
Yeah.
have a
Yeah,
little
she
like pissed offness to you.
yeah. I mean she gets a hug from Jeff and then her exit interview she says that like, I'm on the jury now and I'm going to be like a tough jury member. And it's like, "All right, good. Cool."
Mm-hmm.
Like Sierra clearly was like Sierra was a great player. I thought that was like you all remember the chicken and that yellow and yeah, her and Sam was such an interesting little wrinkle. I am honestly curious to see how that plays out.
Mm-hmm.
Killed the Easter egg hunt. Shout out to Easter egg hunts. Honestly, she said she'd done it every year until last year.
Yeah,
That was awesome little nugget, and that she killed
that
it.
was cool.
Racked up so much money. I wish she got to take some cash home, but she will not. Uh, Anything else there, or we can move on to Survivor press conference.
Yeah, I didn't
Survivor
go to the
press
press
conference.
conference.
Yeah, let's go. You can start off.
Okay, my question is for Jeff,
Hmm.
and I would want to know, Jeff, 15 game days into the game, what would you want to receive out? With no advantage, what would you want to receive out of the auction? What would you like most be hoping would come up?
Yes. What food item? Yeah. What do you
Hmm.
think your answer would be?
So the ones we
Like you've
saw,
done
either the
fasts and stuff
burger,
before. Like you've done fasts where like you probably have your
yeah.
cravings probably change when you're out there too.
I mean, you definitely need protein. So like my thing would be like the burger, and then like, but then again too, like those like nachos with the margarita would
Yeah.
hit, dude.
Those look good, and I'm like
They
on day
look
zero.
so good.
I'm like, those look fantastic.
Yeah.
No, that's good. That's good. Mine is also kind of my question for Jeff is also auction related. I actually have three questions for Jeff. One is what type of challenger event is most fun? Because like, I mean, we for Jeff because like he just looked like he was having so much fun during doing this auction, and
Hmm.
even in years past, like Jeff can be pretty serious. Like in early Survivor, but auction was always kind of a loose time. And I thought that
Hmm.
like Gabe thing was a pretty interesting analogy of saying like they all played soccer and World War whatever for a day, but
Yeah.
then it was back to war the next day. Like it did, like it. Survivor auctions always felt light and fun, and like not as much pressure. There's a little more stakes on it now, I'd say. But I would wonder what's the most fun like for him to do if he does love tribal the most. If that's fun to him,
Hmm.
even though he's serious, or if it's challenges or whatever. I want to know what's the most fun. Number two, was the idol always in the tarp, or did it just go in the
Mm.
tarp? Because, like, yeah, what if
Oh,
like
okay.
we like let's say Russell Hantz is looking everywhere and he's feeling a tarp and he's like there is something in here or like you know what I mean like or they're fanning it out and it's like oh what is this rough part here.
I mean, I can almost guarantee they did it while they were at the
Maybe
auction.
but I'm just
Yeah.
wondering could it have always just been there
Fair question. Yeah.
that because that would be interesting for survivors castaways going forward of like that's something to check. Last thing,
Hmm.
when did they hide the bamboo? Because there must have been a time
Mm.
where they were because last time it was they were all sitting on the beach and they were all hanging
Hmm.
out and then it was like guys run into the thing and it's all there. Wonder when it was. I mean that's just probably a logistic. It's probably easy.
Yeah.
It was in the morning. Everyone was at camp or whatever. Because if they were walking to the sign and they saw like oh there's purple string on that bamboo might have been there. I don't know. Or did they all have to stand in that area, celebrate as it was being spread out? I don't know. I would love to
Yeah.
know that process though. Cool. Let's go to stock up, stock down. Who you got? Stock
Stock
up.
up. I went with Andy.
Same.
I think he's. I mean, he's making a great case right now. I think
Yeah.
probably in top 3 or 4 people I would say that has the best shot to win right now.
Yeah, 100%.
As long as he could get like the verbal communication down, I think he's set. Honestly.
Yeah, he's a good lone ranger right now. I feel like he can hop between
Hmm.
alliances and like still lay low. Like he's not
Hmm.
super threatening. I think he'll be on the right side of the vote a lot. Maybe nearly won the challenge. It's hard to tell how long Kyle would have lasted. I like Andy though too, and Andy's kind of paving his own way, and he recognized that he was kind of the pawn of that alliance, and that's a cool thing, and that doesn't like always show to everyone. I do think Saul's stock is up too. I just love Saul. I think Saul is the best.
Yeah,
Like
he would have been my second one.
I think Saul is doing great too. Like getting a lot of screen time, but also, yeah, I don't know, just playing well, and yeah, I think
Mm,
he got two things in the auction. Is that right? He got chips, and I think he got something else. Um,
that sounds right.
yeah, Saul's doing great, and I think Saul has Rachel as an alliance, and yeah, I think that all works out. Who do you got stock down? Probably
Stock down, I
Sam.
went with Sam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
same,
I mean,
same page.
yeah, I
Look,
mean, number one ally goes home. Your name got brought up a bunch. You got a bunch of votes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. The preview episode makes it seem like episode 9 that Sam's gonna play pretty hard. So I like
Mm,
that, and I think he can turn
me
it
too.
around. I thought he was fun too, doing the little commentating, but I was also like,
Hmm.
dude, you're not looking right now. I don't think I could ever like I think I would try to do funny things like that, but when the game is on, I'd be playing the
And
game.
his stock is down, but at the same time, I think he's in a good spot to where, like, now he's like, he has no alliance, no allegiance,
Yeah.
which I think is a good place to be at certain points in the game.
Yeah. I just think there are a lot of really smart players that are maybe playing a
Hmm.
little smarter than he is right now, even just knowing like let's keep him around because at any point you can convince anyone to vote out Sam pretty quickly. But
Oh
like
yeah.
to say let's vote out Sue right now would be like why? Why would we vote out Sue? That makes
Hmm.
no sense. But Sam, I feel like there are reasons for that. And now Sierra's on the jury. And there's always that like, oh well, they're on the jury, they like you. That always comes into
Hmm.
play in these next couple episodes too. So
For sure.
Sam's got an uphill battle. All right, let's go with renaming the episode. It was what is it? He's all that. Was it? I forget who says that. Um, not a very strong
I think
episode name.
Teeny says that about Andy.
Oh well, I mean, I don't really. Yeah, not standing out. I don't
They
think
were
that's a.
they were referencing the movie She's All That. I remember that.
I remember
I don't
that, but I
remember
don't
what
remember
it.
seeing he's all that.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah, I don't know. We can do better. What do you got for renaming the episode?
I went with Survivor Cashback Program because I don't know, I
That's
just love
awesome.
the way that Jeff said it. He was like, "Welcome to the Survivor Cashback
Yeah.
Program."
Yeah. Also, Shakespeare in the Park, his little yeah, using his little accent and whatnot. But Survivor Cashback's
Mm.
good because that's when it was introduced, and that might become
Mm.
yeah, they might go, hey, we need to do bigger amounts next time. Like you said, 60 is
Mm.
a little light, but if they did like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, you just spent 300 on this, we're giving you 200 back. It's like dang. But you also get to keep going, so it's kind of exciting
Yeah.
depending. And luckily, this was a long auction too. It wasn't ended quick, but it was
I was
still
happy
every
that it
time
was
like,
12 or
when's it
whatever
gonna
it
end?
was. Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah. I did too many cooks. Too many cooks.
Okay.
I believe Genevieve said it when everyone was scrambling and trying to figure out
Hmm.
which GOTA member to vote off. People were saying Rachel, but Saul's like, no, not Rachel, and people were saying Sam, and Genevieve's like, too many cooks, and I think I think there are a lot of cooks in this kitchen in this season of Survivor, so I think that's
Hmm.
pretty fair. Now, let's talk about who's going home. Last week we picked two people who won immunity. I mean, that's like when you have a 4-leg parlay and all of them lose. It's like,
Yeah.
dang it, like we were way off.
No
Who do we
shot.
got next week?
I've gone there before. I'm gonna go with Kyle. I think
Yeah,
he's won 3 in a row. If he doesn't win, I think he's first. Like, we got to get him out.
yeah.
So I'm going to
I, s-
Kyle.
I saw a meme and it said like when the next challenge ends in a puzzle and it showed Joe from like season 30 or whatever. He was a challenge beast, but I
Mm.
think a puzzle came up and it stumped him. And so they're like, "Oh no, man! If this because we haven't seen Kyle really do puzzles, I don't think."
I
Um,
feel like he said at one point like he's not good at puzzles.
yeah, see that could be his downfall. Kyle's not a bad
Yeah.
pick. Um, yeah, I am going to pick Rachel. I think Rachel
Mm.
does go home with an idol in her pocket. Uh,
Ooh.
that's kind of
Okay.
that's kind of a crazy pick. But on our Survivor Fantasy, I did put 10 votes, I think, on Kyle for the next one because I got to catch up in Survivor Fantasy.
I
You're
forgot to do
up.
the last like 2 weeks.
Oh wow, dude, and you're still like top five. I
Am I
think.
really?
I
Oh
think you're
wow.
like
Okay,
top
I'm gonna have to
seven.
remember. Yeah.
I think I'm
Dang.
like
Okay.
I think I'm like 16. I want to say you're like six, and then my coworker's like
Oh.
22. But yeah, so it's a funny little league. I still don't. I guess I get it, but I wish the layout was. I wish Sleeper had one. Sleeper could do it.
Hey, if you're
Which
listening,
yeah,
sleeper.
Sleeper, if you're listening. Which yeah, I should check my sleeper real quick. Lamar Jackson. Okay, great. All right. We'll be back next week for episode 9. Hopefully, we picked a right person to go home.
Hopefully.
Until then, next time we see you, ASU ranked.
Maybe.
Should
Go
be.
Devils.
Should be. Go Devils. See you next week.